welcome to yet another edition of Time Pass with the wonderful, the legendary Shabana Azmi for the New Indian Express. I'm so privileged to have her with me. She's what, 5-time National Award winner, former Rajya Sabha member, actor, activist, a person who actually enabled women in India, especially in the industry, to understand the power of their stardom and to actually translate it into activism much before, all these social media created these armchair activists. She actually has gone out there, fought on the streets for people's rights. It's a real privilege to have her with me, and also about to turn 70. It's hard to believe, Shabana ji. So, hello and welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And of course, she's the presenter of this wonderful film I just saw, Mee Raqsam, which is shot in her father's hometown, Mijwan, and it is one of the most beautiful films I've seen recently, and it gives you a lot of hope in India's young people, in the so-called small towns and villages of India, where I really believe the real change is happening. And I think this movie is able to capture that, especially of the fathers. They sort of are a neglected community, I think, in the portrayal on screen. But progressive fathers are, and the way the movie portrays this progressive father is just so wonderful. But Shabana ji, please tell me more about it.
Well, firstly, I'm really glad that you caught the point about the youth of India, because when you look at the fact that Aditi Subedi, who plays the protagonist, 15-year-old Mariam, in the movie Mee Raqsam, she was a girl who my brother Baba Azmi selected after he had auditioned hundreds of girls in Mumbai. And although some were good actors, some were good dancers, he kept feeling that something was amiss. And that was what he called the mitti ki khushboo. And so he took the plunge and said, I'm going to find a real person from Mijwa village. And then he found this girl who had never faced the camera before. She had never done a step of Bharatnatyam, but she was more than willing to take up the challenge. She was brought to Mumbai. She stayed here for 3 months, practicing her Bharatnatyam every day from like 6 to 9 hours. Her feet would, her knees would swell up and become like pillars, and yet she kept at it. Now, for a 15-year-old girl to leave the safety of her tiny little village, Mijwa, and come here and just sort of keep herself open to everything that was happening, is, I think, epitomizes the youth of our country.
Yeah.
Because they are just waiting for an opportunity.
Yes.
They're full of desire. They're full of talent. They're waiting for an opportunity. Now we can ignore them at our own peril.
Yes.
Because actually they are the biggest strength of our country, because 50% of our population is below the age of 25. Now, can you imagine what a huge resource base that is? And also, if you notice in the film, it is the young who have been able to throw all these obscurantist ideas.
Yes, yeah.
Because Mariam's friend,
Yeah.
her cousin, those boys, all of them are the ones who support her through this journey. And so subliminally you get the message that it's the youth that are going to change things.
And even Aditi, the girl who actually then saves her. We can't give away too much, but who sort of saves the day at the end, by playing the Sufi music. She's so lovely, the boy who dreams big of starting this business of providing dark classes for pets. I mean, these are such lovely little ideas, and it tells you so much about what the potential is.
And also of small town aspiration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but do you get a sense that there is also a sense of a sense of loss of hope, that people feel that they don't get enough opportunities, that they remain stuck there with, when you see the obscurantism portrayed by the characters of Nasir or the Khala, and you realize that patriarchy is deeply instilled in the minds of women as well. There possibly misogyny is as much among women as it is among men. What gives you, what do you think of people like that?
Well, you have to understand that I think it's very important to show both the Khala and the character of Hashim Seth as being uh, obscurantist, because you have to realize that women are as much victims of patriarchy as men are, and so they get into this position where uh, against their wish, against their desire, against their understanding, in the name of Samaj, अभी बदलाव के लिए तैयार नहीं है. They take steps which are harmful to their own children. So it really, you see, what we have to see is it is for the victim, for the oppressed to stand up
Yeah.
and say we're not going to take it anymore. Never in the world has the powerful ever said, oh, we are wielding too much power now, we are
Yeah.
going to give it away to the
Yeah.
powerless, right? So it actually at one level is also inciting you to say, don't stay uh, okay with the state of affairs that you have. Get up and demand.
Right. Speak up for yourself, because nobody else will do it for you.
Nobody will do it. Nobody will
Yeah.
do it.
Right. But let's talk a little about the character of the father. A wonderfully portrayed character, played with a great sense of depth by Danish as well. How important is it to uh, understand this kind of masculinity and to have more of these examples?
You see, in our society, the kind of toxicity that is associated with masculinity
Yes.
is really troubling, because in the writing of Danish, in the way he is Salim, in the way he is written, in the way he's directed, you are talking about a father as a nurturer, as a father who can be both mother and father
Yeah.
to his daughter, which is a role that many men do not even see for themselves. And so the question that it begs to ask is, why can't masculinity also be about empathy, about sensitivity, about understanding? And in Baba's experience, in my experience, both our father, Kaveree Azmi, was that kind of person. He was a nurturer. And I remember many years ago when I had told him that I would like to become an actor and would he support me. He said, Bete, I will support you in whatever choice you make. If tomorrow you decide you want to become a mochi, you want to become a shoemaker, I will support even that, provided you tell yourself you will try to be the best shoemaker in the business. And I remember how much confidence and how much comfort it gave me. So I think it comes from Baba's memory. Plus, Baba is the same kind of father to his daughter, and so I think it grows from there. And 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 what is very heartening is how many men have appreciated this, let alone women. That's nice.
Right. And, especially in today's industry where movies tend to highlight the toxic aspect of masculinity, the whole idea of stalking the woman so much that she finally gives in, or, this violence, the violent streak that you see portrayed towards women. How important are such progressive fathers, how progressive men, their portrayal on screen? Should we not have more of them?
I think very, very important, because we need to give visibility. See, how how can the arts function?
Yeah.
How can cinema function? It's not by standing on a pulpit and shouting slogans, because then that would not be true to the art form that you have chosen to express your thoughts through. So you have to tell it in a way that is true to the medium. So whenever you speak to Baba, he always says, to me, this is a human story about a father's unstinted support for his daughter's desire to become a Bharatanatyam dancer. Now, on the surface, it seems like a simple enough story, but there are so many layers in it. One which I particularly react to a lot, because there's a moment when she's among some ladida people, and they say Musalman ladki और भरतनाट्यम
Right.
बहुत पढ़े लिखे होंगे तुम्हारे माँ बाप.
Yeah.
What does your
that's a
father do?
Lovely.
And then the teacher tries to shush her away from that and wants to save the situation, and she turns around with pride and says, दर्जी है मेरे अब्बू.
बहुत ही
I can't tell you how much that touches me, because in a feudal society where somebody who does work was looked down upon, you'll be surprised to know that the word kamina comes from काम करने वाला.
अच्छा.
फ्यूडल सोसाइटी में जो काम करता था वो कमतर था. वो चाहे वो पॉटर हो, चाहे वो जो काम करता है फील्ड्स पर, वो चाहे किसी तरह का भी कारीगर हो. Now it was left to the progressive writers movement to wrest the worker from the stranglehold of feudalism and give respect to the worker. So if you look at Kaveree's poetry, I mean, it was dedicated to celebrating the worker, to celebrating the woman, to celebrating the farmer, the student, all these people. उनकी जो पोएम है मकान, आज की रात बहुत गर्म हवा चलती है, आज की रात न फुटपाथ पे नींद आएगी, सब उठो मैं भी उठूं, तुम भी उठो, कोई खिड़की इसी दीवार में खुल जाएगी. And so that to me, in what can be just a moment that passes, such a beautiful statement is being made. And I think that is the strength of the movie, that it's not in your face. The story is at one level and these ideas are coming in an almost seamless manner.